Alright, today we're going to look at a couple of random pack runs, and I've played a lot of randoms in the last couple of months, so there are tons and tons of games saved up, and we're just going to have to get through them in completely mismatched pairs. A lot of them I haven't even really marked properly. You know, it'll just say 10 wins random run, and I don't know what the contents of the actual final team. So yeah, I guess there'll be kind of elements of surprise in here for me as well. So strangely here we end up on turn 2 getting Frilled Dragon versus Frilled Dragon matchup. That doesn't happen very often. Even though I think Frilled Dragon is really strong, not a lot of people play it. We'll take the Lemur toy. And of course, Hummingbird now being a feint pet gives Frilled Dragon another option on tier 1. So if anything, it's even better than it was before. And then we'll just try and top up the Frilled Dragon's health, because at a 1-1 that is really the only drawback to playing it. Outside of the fact that you obviously need feint pets in the pack for it to make any sense. And I think actually, you know, since the randomizer was changed, I think it's impossible to get Frilled Dragon without feint pets in it. Do let me know in the comments if that's happened to you before, but the old randomizer, you know, you could get pets that were completely useless because the synergies weren't available to be activated. But I'm pretty confident that the current version, if you get Frilled Dragon, you definitely will get at least one feint pet on tier 1. At least I can't remember the last time I played a random pack and there were no feint options. But that could just be because feint is one of the most common ability triggers in the game. So we get the another Frilled Dragon. And I think when I'm playing a random pack, you know, and I get Frilled Dragon in this kind of situation, I know that I'm just going to keep it to the end. Because when you get off the ground quickly with the feint pets, it's just such a strong carry unit. And usually with random packs, especially if you're deliberately avoiding taking multiple scalars, you're going to need your strong tempo pets, and you're probably going to rely on them right to the very end. So we'll take the Seaweed to upgrade the Hummingbird. Again, this is another kind of situation where I normally would be looking to get rid of the Hummingbird as soon as possible, but because it's already at a good stat line, plus it enables the Frilled Dragon, we're very likely to keep it as well. And we win by 1 HP there, just before the Hippo gets to shoot. Yeah, Lasagna goes straight onto the Frilled Dragon. And what are we looking for in the shop here? Not seeing too many other useful feint units besides the Anteater. Okay, we'll take the Melon Helmet. And ooh, strange there that I hesitated thinking about taking the other Frilled Dragon, but we do find Volcano Snail, which will do just to give our Frilled Dragon an extra +2/2. Now here, it looks like we're in major trouble. However, the Hummingbird is going to replace the weakness with Strawberry, and then we end up winning because there's nothing left behind the Guinea Fowl, which means it can't generate any extra trumpets. And now we have to rearrange to make sure that the Frilled Dragon gets the melon. And then I find Cuttlefish, which is definitely a feint pet, and definitely an upgrade on Volcano Snail. And then we'll just buy the Fortune Cookie. Fortune Cookie, something that almost never appears in a custom pack, unless you're playing randoms. And then the stat reduction works really well here with the Anteater having 2 very low damage attacks. It still gets 2 kills. Well, the Anteater does, and then the Ant does as well. Now we have to think about the ordering here, because there is a chance that the Hummingbird loses its perk, in which case it's going to overwrite the Frilled Dragon's melon. But I guess maybe I'm just going to have to take that risk. I could put it right to the front to prevent that happening, but I guess there would still be situations where you could end up getting units in the backline sniped, and so it would still give Strawberry to everything. You can't cover every eventuality, especially when you're playing a makeshift random pack. But we do beat Metabrusque there. Tropical Fish level up. actually get Puma, which is incredible. In fact, we get 2 Pumas. So, I mean, that couldn't have gone better, really. And we also have double Stingray frozen. So I'm just going to leave the cuttlefish at the front and try and take advantage of the fact that it already has the fortune cookie, because we could be doing double damage with the flashlight buffs. Again, the strawberry heals the weakness. Now, when Hummingbird was in testing, I did say that I felt it was pretty strong to have a tier 1 that can heal ailments like that. But here we are, so we might as well make use of it. Now there's Vampire Bat. That would make sense with Cuttlefish. Not necessarily the greatest synergy, but we could potentially knock something out. You know, if it was like a very low-statted turkey or something that had potato, obviously the ink is going to remove that completely. So there we do get a knockout on the cow. And then the melon on the frilled dragon is going to serve us well. But the toy is going to run out very soon, so we would actually have to cycle the Vampire Bat if we want to give the Puma something else to do. So I probably should have frozen that Vampire Bat there in the shop. But maybe I just thought I was going to win this next battle, which is not going to happen. Because it's Monkey plus level 2 blue-ringed octopus. And so we're going to get demolished by the Ammonite. And now the Vampire Bat has to go in order for us to be able to buy another toy. And then we get another Puma, so that's a lot of stat reduction just from the toy alone. Although we do only have 2 faint units, which isn't the best for the frilled dragon. You'd think it would still be good enough on turn 13 though. Unfortunately we faced the shark team, which, I mean, the shark was absolutely tiny at the start of battle, but look at the size that it gets up to now. It's almost 50-50. And so we lose again, and now it feels like we're in the vortex where we're just going to start, because we've committed to the frilled dragon plus hummingbird combo, we're just going to start losing every turn from here on out. But then in comes Metabrusque to save the day with this triple cardinalfish team. Actually looks like we might struggle to beat this team, but the 2 units at the back have ink, which means they only do 2 damage. And the Vampire Bat with 2 attack is able to knock out the moose and still survive. So our frilled dragon team gets the victory. Alright, here we go with another one, just completely randomizing the pack again. I think these runs were recorded only like 24 hours apart or something, so I must have been on a bit of a random pack kick. It definitely is a good palate cleanser after you've been trying to go for one specific combo for a couple of days and it's not working out, and you're really fed up of playing the same pets. So random packs can offer up opportunities that maybe you've been denying yourself for a while. So I take the level up on turn 3 and we get baboon and bat, so I'm just going to sell the duck onto both and then sell both beavers, although of course the first beaver is always going to buff the second beaver. Okay, we're going to buy sell again and then just take the unagi for a bit of a change. I definitely do have a habit of making misplays with baboon and tier 2s on turn 3, where I'll buy the bat trying to focus the buffs onto it, and then I'll buy another tier 2 and completely forget about it. So there you could see I have briefly hovered over the albino squirrel. And thankfully I realised I need to combine the bats there instead of risking it. But I think we're going to lose again. That's okay though, I mean that kind of thing is going to happen if you're greeding to get the buffs onto one pet like we are here. So we'll upgrade to Fig, and then look for a tier 3, and we end up getting double baboon, so we're just going to let the baboons buff themselves. Something which normally would really irritate me, but in this scenario it's perfectly fine. Because baboon, since it's like a progressive scaler, by the time you get to tier 6, it will buff the tier 6. You can kind of build your team around it, it's very likely that one of the tier 6s in the pack is going to end up being one with an ability that scales based on its attack. There are so many of them in the game at this point. We can be pretty confident that we'll find something worth buffing. And even if it's, a pet like Gorilla or Wildebeest, where the ability doesn't necessarily scale based on attack, however, it does definitely benefit from having increased stats. So I passed up Tigerbug there. I think that was probably something to do with the fact that I was maybe going for a combo involving it, because otherwise I would have probably taken that almost every time in a random pack. Yeah, I don't want to buy the puppy here because it's going to waste the seagull trigger. We want to get another fig for free. Actually, probably could have bought the baboon separately there. So maybe that's what I'm thinking about here, that was a bit of a misplay. So we'll take the level up, and then I think I'm going to freeze Nurikabe here. And maybe just keep for next turn, because I want the seagull to get the buffs. Or are we just going to take it now? I guess if we don't take it, we're maybe throwing for another turn. Now look at this quad dromedary with Capybara, but the damage blocking from Nurikabe is solid, and we managed to win. We get another baboon, so it's been an incredibly lucky game in terms of finding baboons. And I think at this point I'm starting to consider going for a team of all figs. I think fig is a very strong perk still, even though it was changed from being start of battle. But you don't really see a lot of people taking it into the late game in customs. The other perks are so strong, it's kind of hard to justify it. But it does often produce some pretty funny interactions. So we'll go for the Nurikabe level, and luckily we get another chocolate. Now, Orca and Yeti both don't really synergize too well with this team, although I guess once we buy the Orca, the Seagull could then be giving Fig to the summoned pets. So there is some kind of mild synergy going on there, and of course we do have the Bat to provide weakness. Now, the issue with the Bat is that because it was changed to not be start of battle anymore, the fact that it's level 2, it's not really going to get more than one trigger because its stats are so low. So maybe there is a case to be made here to try and replace the Fig with something more protective, but of course it's a random pack, so we don't know for sure that there's anything good at tier 6 regardless. And don't see too many Nightcrawler teams. The Bat does get to activate twice here, and we actually snipe the Nightcrawler before the Rooster gets the summon, so the Daycrawler was much weaker there. I think we were still going to win regardless. Definitely need to go for the level 2 Orca first so that we can guarantee that we have 2 summons for the Seagull. And this looks pretty nasty with the Boar plus Hippo combo. I actually see quite a few teams like this where people take 2 of these sort of sweeping pets. And yeah, we barely lose actually because they had the cheese there on the Gelada, I think it was. Level 3 Bat's not going to do it, I don't think. We do get the level 2 Orca. So now I really just want level 3 Seagull, because the Orca, even at level 2, could be spawning another pet that will summon another unit. Like this. So we see we get the Osprey. If we'd had the level 3 Seagull, we would get an extra Fig. And are we going to be able to get through here? The Fig does take care of the Hydra head, and we do actually win. I was kind of surprised there that we managed to win against that squad. And keeping our eyes open to try and find the last Fig for the Baboon. Although maybe you could make a case that the Baboon should be sold, on 9 wins and we just put something better in. Although I guess that does waste one of the Seagull triggers. Actually, there was amalgamation there in the shop, so probably if I was playing optimally, I would have frozen that, but it didn't happen. And the Orca plus Seagull combo is going to get us the win anyway. Fig not quite strong enough to get the knockout there. So level 3 the Seagull. Yeah, I could have waited there. I could have saved the chocolate, but I think at this point I'm just trying to find the last Fig. And we don't get it, so we're just going to go one step closer to level 3 Orca. Now here, the Chihuahua team's going to mess us up and actually knock out the Seagull as well. Is the Orca going to be able to recover here? I suppose it depends what we summon. We summon Mammoth, which is pretty decent. And the Bat is actually going to snipe the Cocoa Bean on the Blue-Ringed Octopus at the back. And then the Nurikabe damage blocking saves the day. We're one away from the full Fig team, but I'll take it. And then here's a pretty funny round from a random pack, where I have Rat. We get matched with Nick, and he's got this great one team going, which looked like it was going to be a draw, but of course the Rat has other ideas.